come here on a Sunday afternoon and talk. I'll say up front that I see an awful lot of kidney disease and nowhere near as much amyloid disease. So one plays to one's strengths, and most of my talk will be around kidney disease and what happens when amyloid affects your kidneys. So we'll just very briefly have a look at the types of amyloid seen in the kidney. We'll have a look at the various types of renal presentations, look at the options of both dialysis and transplantation, all in the convenient time of 15 minutes. So you've probably had this hammered into during the morning. The main type of renal amyloid that you see is the AL type, which is related to an abnormal production of immunoglobulins. And by virtue of the structure of that immunoglobulin, they naturally form themselves into sheets, which then regulate themselves into a structure that you can see here, the helix. And this then, to a varying degree, this is a kidney biopsy, and this is one of the filtration units of the kidney, and you can see a deposit of amyloid tissue within that filtration unit, which we call a glomerulus. Now, amyloid's only one of quite a large number of abnormal proteins that are produced in various conditions that can affect the kidney. It's probably second to a disease called myeloma, but there are a lot of others, and you may or may not hear about them in your pathway through amyloid. The AL protein, as far as kidney disease is concerned, causes about 80% of the amyloid we see in kidney disease. About 15% is related to prolonged inflammation. The types of inflammation from most studies, and this is an example of one, is from juvenile inflammatory arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. We don't see an awful lot of familial Mediterranean fever ourselves. This is a Lancet paper, but we do see chronic sepsis. So if you have chronic infection, pretty much from any type, that stimulates production of the AA protein in the liver, and that then naturally aligns itself to form the amyloid when there's enough of a stimulus and it's there for long enough. There are other causes that are listed there, and you can keep going with them, but their percentage is much less. So together, that's about 95% of all the types of amyloid. As the previous speaker alluded to, you don't get the TTR amyloid in the kidney, but you do get a number of less common types, both hereditary and acquired. And just in the interest of time, I really sort of can only mention them today. Now, as was alluded to again in the previous talk, presentation of kidney disease can be conveniently grouped in a way. Protein in the urine is one type. That can lead to a condition known as nephrotic syndrome, and I'll explain that in a minute because you might hear about it when people, particularly kidney specialists, throw it around like everybody in the world should know what nephrotic syndrome is. And kidney failure itself, which is the final presentation. Now, proteinuria most commonly presents with people seeing their urine becoming excessively frothy, froths up in the toilet, and also with a lot of swelling, as was alluded to in the lower limbs. And that can be quite excessive. I'm going to take you through how the swelling arises, because again, it's one of those things that we understand, we assume everybody else does, and therefore we never explain it to anybody. And it's probably worth just walking through it so you do understand exactly what goes on. So if you have a look at a kidney, and you then look at the blood vessels, and then jump to this slide here, and note that these are the very, very small blood vessels, which are up here in the substance of the kidney. They then ultimately branch and divide into a little filtration unit called the glomerulus. And here's a diagram of the glomerulus here. The function of the glomerulus is that it simply allows fluid within the very, very fine capillaries to leak into the urinary space. And that's how you form urine. That's all it is. It's simply a passage of that fluid through the glomerulus. There's a leakage within it, and that then is caught as urine. Okay? Now, under normal circumstances, here for instance, proteins in the blood and red cells in the blood can't get through. The commonest type of protein in the blood is albumin, and that for those particular among us has a molecular weight of about 60 to 65,000. So that's blocked, okay, can't get through. Now with any condition, but particularly with amyloid, that affects the microstructure of the glomerulus in such a way that albumin can leak out. Okay? So far so good? All right. So what that means is that normally the protein in your very small blood vessels acts to hold the fluid in. It has an attraction that the water attaches itself to, and it has what's called a plasma colloid osmotic pressure. So it actually traps the water. There's also another pressure which is operating all the time called a hydrostatic pressure, and that acts, and there's always a small amount of leakage of fluid out of the small blood vessels, not the kidney vessels necessarily, but other very small blood vessels as well. But this is in a constant state of balance. Any excessive fluid that is leaked goes through a thing called the lymphatic system, lymphatic drainage, which then returns it back into the large blood vessels. So you can see that there's a constant dynamic balance there. When this plasma colloid oncotic pressure decreases, when the serum level of albumin in the blood falls, then the hydrostatic pressure remains and a lot of fluid leaks out because you've lost this attraction to keeping the water inside the blood vessels. That leaks into the tissues, it overwhelms the capacity of the lymphatics to drain it, and you end up with a lot of tissue, a lot of fluid in the tissues. Does that make sense? That's how it works, that's what actually happens. And then what happens is that you get swelling. The gravity makes the fluid drain to the feet in the daytime. A lot of people find that it all sort of settles overnight, and that's because it's sitting around where you've been lying in bed. It's still there, it hasn't gone anywhere. There's actually not enough fluid in the blood vessels, and that causes low blood pressure. You can get dizzy when you try and stand, makes you feel tired, and also because the blood cells are more concentrated because there's not enough fluid, you have an increased tendency to clot your blood. Now the liver tries to make up for the loss of protein. There's a signal to the liver that says there's not enough albumin in the blood because it's all being leaked out, and it desperately tries to make up as many proteins as it can. That then puts out a lot of clotting factors, which then adds to your risk of blood clots, and also puts out a lot of cholesterol, which is another protein, so that's why your cholesterol rises. Now when all of that happens and it's severe enough, that combination is called nephrotic syndrome. Now, unfortunately, as the amyloid condition progresses, the kidney tissue is also destroyed. And that's when you end up with kidney failure, and we'll look at that in a second. So, the best approach, if we possibly can, treat the amyloid, right? Switch off the engine, and that helps to settle things better than anything else when it's possible. We can gently remove the fluid with diuretics or fluid tablets, right? The trouble with that is that it can aggravate the low blood pressure because it takes fluid out of your blood vessels further, and that can make things worse if you use too much, so it's a balance. We can give intravenous albumin, and some people benefit from that over a period of time. We also have to be aware of the heart function, and as was mentioned numerous times during the morning, the issue of cardiac amyloid is a complicating factor. And then there are medications to prevent clotting and also to lower the cholesterol. So they're the sorts of things that can be done. There are local factors, local techniques as well, pressure stockings and what have you, but that they all have a role, that they're really trying to control the underlying problem. And then there's dialysis and transplantation. Just before we get on to that, it's worthwhile noting that if you do get a response to your amyloid, oftentimes the protein in the urine reduces as well, even though the renal function might not improve particularly, and that's because the two processes are different. You can see here that with a remission in this study, with complete remission of the hematological disease, the urine protein fell from baseline compared to 12 months later, but the kidney function, that's creatinine clearance as we call it, didn't really alter terribly much. Furthermore, the reduction in protein in the urine won't happen quickly necessarily, and this is a study after a stem cell transplant, and showed that actually over a period of 3 to 4 years, the protein in the urine gradually resolved. So it's not like Christmas. Okay, when do we want to dialyse our patients? We dialyse them when the fluid buildup is too great and it cannot be controlled. That's usually in association with some degree of kidney functional impairment. And the difference with kidney functional impairment is when you've got toxins in the blood that the kidneys can't get rid of. That's different to the fluid problem, right? They're two distinct problems. So this is the second point. So when the blood toxins are too high and your life can be at risk accordingly. And the third one is when you generally feel just too unwell. You can't think properly, you've got no energy to get out of bed, and that is considered often related to the toxins related to kidney failure. This is my complicated slide, so we won't go into it in any great shape or form, but this is the central process here. This is the dialyzer. This is the dialyzer membrane, and that's really what it's all about. Everything else around dialysis, and you saw the guy in that chair, it all looks sort of complicated, and it is a little bit. But the central thing is that this dialyzer, which is reflected and magnified over here, simply allows fluid and toxins to leak out, but doesn't let the red cells out. So you get rid of the bad fluid and you replace it with good fluid. Okay? That's the principle. That's kind of what your own kidneys do all the time. There is another type of dialysis where the same process occurs, but you do it using your peritoneal cavity, and that there's a tube that goes into that peritoneal cavity, and either overnight or several times during the day, you flush fluid in and you drain the bad fluid out. So you're using the blood vessels within the peritoneal cavity to actually attract the toxins out of them into that dialysis fluid, and then you drain it out again. So it's just so you've heard about it, because both types of dialysis are used. Is dialysis for you? It can be worth considering, but you need to discuss it with your kidney doctor. The studies are sort of mixed, and I think that's partly because of the numbers are usually small, and there's such a variability in presentation and response. But in younger patients, and there's limited heart disease, especially if you don't have AL amyloid, there seems to be a particular place for it. There is probably also a place for other patients, but you have to be assessed individually. The better you are, the more likely it's going to work for you. It's unlikely you'll recover kidney function completely once you start dialysis, but some patients do. There can be prolonged survival once you're on dialysis. However, in itself, irrespective of amyloid, dialysis is not an easy process or lifestyle, and so that's one of the things that has to be considered. I'm going to finish just with this study on kidney transplantation, because it's also worth a mention. This was 111 transplants from 1978 to 2011. If you can see here, there's a whole different range of amyloids involved, 25 AL, 43 AA, and so on. So there was a good range. And they found that, I don't know if that comes up so well on screen, but the types of amyloid that are slower and not as destructive, and they're not as common either, did better with transplant than those patients with AA or AL disease in particular. And if you responded to the general systemic treatment of your amyloid, you also did better with a transplant. So we're looking here at 10-year survival, which is quite a significant period. So just to summarise, most but not all types of amyloid eventually affect the kidney function. Renal presentation is invariably associated with protein in the urine and often nephrotic syndrome. One thing that hasn't been looked at carefully is quality of life on dialysis and patient well-being. That's something that could be looked at. It is worth considering if your kidney disease is bad enough, and in the right patients it will probably prolong your life. And in a minority of patients at this stage, renal transplantation can be a successful treatment in combination with treating the amyloid. So I'll leave it there, and if there's time for questions, I'm happy to take some. Thank you.